The RCA's claim is that the students here are dreaming up the cars we'll drive, the images we'll see, the clothes we'll wear, and the chairs we'll sit on in the new millennium. Students here already have a first degree and are well on the way to being professionals in their own right. The college's reputation makes it a magnet for the old and new establishment. It's 1998, and Professor Christopher Frayling is playing host at the summer shows. His days are a whirl of meeting and greeting. Government ministers like Culture Secretary Chris Smith are keen to associate themselves with the newly cool design sector.
Hi there. Hello. Hi. Christopher Frayling. Yep. Hi. You came in very quickly. Let's go around. Yes. Well, anything you particularly like to see? Now we've got it's design and communication. So we've got the industrial design, engineering. Let's do the industrial design bit first, shall we? And then do the graphics and all that stuff. Yeah. Lovely. Let's go. Let's go industrial design, engineering. Oh, have a.
I think I better not.
Not to the speech.
No, I'll have a drink later.
Oh, this is another way of celebrating the millennium.
Yeah, so we have lots of little domes around London,
and
they're all saying different things. They're all celebrating quirkiness and, you know, British characteristics and the whole sort of potting shed mentality, which is very important, I think.
Yes.
I mean, that's where British genius comes from, in a sense, the potting shed at the bottom of the garden.
Amongst other places.
But yes, quite.
Well,
Yes. We like to think they sometimes come from MA degrees as well, Claire. I don't know what Cool Britannia is, but it's here. We are an elite in that we're small, we're high-end, it's very difficult to get into. And, 800 students, it's tiny, really. I mean, these new universities are 20, 40,000 students now. We've got 800 students. So we are an elite, but an elite based on merit alone. We've got to hang on to that.
The college's aspirations are 21st century, but its roots are in the 19th. It was founded in 1837 as the Government School of Design and has received substantial government funding ever since. It has all the pageantry of an ancient university, though in fact the pomp and flummery were invented in 1967 when the college was granted its royal charter. Now Christopher Frayling's role as rector is to make the most of the old and the new, keeping the royal in the college while cultivating the new establishment.
Welcome all of you to the Royal College of Art, which, as many of you will know, is the only wholly postgraduate university of art and design in the world. And welcome to the Senior Common Room, one of London's best-kept secrets, with its collection of works by ex-staff and students in the fine and applied arts. Lucian Freud, Leon Kossoff, ceramics by Lucy Ree and Hans Koper, and we've even been promised a cyclonic vacuum cleaner by James Dyson. It hasn't arrived yet, James, but we look forward. And thank you to tonight's guest of honour, Peter Mandelson, Minister without portfolio, who's done so much over the last year to support and promote the things we all believe in.
It's really very, very nice to be amongst so many friends and new friends. It is like being members of the same invisible college. It's very nice indeed to be here at the Government School of Design. Crikey! The college takes risks in pursuit of excellence and innovation. It is, if I may dare to make a faintly political remark, well in the spirit of our times. And of course this may be a cue, talking about daring, bold, risk-taking initiatives, to say one or two words about the dome. Unfortunately, my time is up.
It's a club that undergraduates all over the world would kill to join. They know what the letters MA, RCA can do for their careers.
Anyone who's grown up in the 70s and 80s is aware of unemployment and the fact that the college has this rather good track record of placing people in the professions, in the applied areas, design and applied art and architecture and so on. So, you know, you'll get a better job.
But that opportunity doesn't come cheap. The government helps with the fees and living expenses of 60% of the students. But the rest have to find £6,000 to pay their fees for 2 years, 30,000 if they're foreign students, plus the cost of living in London. Sabina Bräuninger from Hamburg, who's applying to study fashion, is sure it's worth it.
I've heard quite a lot about the Royal College, and I know that's really a brilliant college for study MA, and if you want to get a good job, then it's the best to be here. And they also help you if you want to set up your own company or something. And I want to just be successful in my kind of area, and that's why I'm applying here.
To get noticed, applicants have to submit a small sample of what they consider to be their best work. Sabina's friend, Andrew Richards, is hoping he's made the right choice.
Hopefully I've brought all the good bits with me and not too much of the crap. But I don't know, you've got to give it your best shot, and I'm quite proud of my portfolio at the moment. It's looking quite strong, quite, well, hopefully. But it'll all depend on the competition, I suppose, and it all depends on the other people, well, the people that are actually looking at it. Hopefully they'll be kind.
250 students are applying to fashion and textile courses, hoping to follow in the footsteps of fashion icons like Ozzie Clark, Philip Tracy and Sandra Rhodes.
Internships.
January 98, and 2 groups of tutors assisted by students have to pluck out the few they want to interview.
I just find that really confusing.
Very weak and very shallow
no men's
work. And also, there's no sketchbooks, there's no research average.
Despite of my enormous self-confidence, I am not just a talker, but a serious and hard-working individual.
We wouldn't have
Yeah, well, where's the
known
men's
it,
one?
would you?
Yeah. Onward.
It's lovely against your black as well.
Oh, it's not garments though, is it? It's stiff.
Not next to your skin.
Brilliant pads.
Maybe over your tie.
Skin you alive.
To have a little silk slip underneath it.
A net veil for a hat.
A flash-coloured slip would be nice.
Eroticism has something to do with undressing. This is quite professional, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's very good.
yeah. You can see he understands
Cutting
cutting
and
and
things,
garments.
Well, I'd say
I'd
get
say,
him in, yes.
yeah, definitely. A good candidate, isn't he?
I think it's worth interviewing, isn't it?
The application numbers, although there's a certain indication of interest in the course, is not always the clue, because you can have a huge application and it's all rubbish.
People who really achieve something are hungry to achieve, and that's what we have to kind of spot, I think.
We're really always trying to find people that are on the up, and then we act like a launching pad, you know, we can sort of drop away.
We want people who want to be stars in whatever subject they... Yes, they want to be the best.
How do we...
These 3 students from Buckinghamshire College Furniture Department, along with 6 of their colleagues, are applying to the furniture course, which has places for only 14 a year.
Hi mate, come to drop these off for MA Furniture. Furniture? Just turn right past the shop there, through the door and up to the 8th floor. Cheers mate. Okay. I think the contacts and the networking involved with the RCA and the reputation that goes with that, even if you go there and you feel as if you weren't particularly successful, the fact you've studied at the RCA, accounts for, you could come away with a poor MA from there, which is probably worth considerably more than a good MA from another college. So it's a lot to do with the reputation of the place.
The reputation is partly based on hiring celebrity professors, practitioners of international renown. Avant-garde architect and designer Ron Arad has just taken over the furniture course.
I think the college has an amazing reputation worldwide. The only problem, we have to make sure it lives up to it. And I think my first job as the new professor for furniture is to make sure that the course is so good that it attracts the kind of students it deserves.
It's the first time he's been able to choose his own students, and he's very aware that his reputation as professor depends on their quality. The Bucks students have chosen a tough year to apply. He's going to be picky.
I don't want to say, okay, I need 15 students, so we'll take the best 15. If there were only going to be 3 students that I thought would be good for the course, or that the course would be good for them, and we choose 3 and suffer the consequences.
From 99 to 2000, your actual funding will be reduced by 5%, providing this new benchmark. Now, it's not going to be easy, of course. I mean, 5% is quite a substantial amount. But what
there are a lot of pressures, like you know that your budget relates to the number of students you admit. I think it's false economy. I'd rather have less budget and less students.
One of Ron's would-be students is installation artist David Fryer, who's just made a piece of public art for a Manchester park.
It's a mouse trap. It is. Yes.
He's hoping to change direction and become a furniture designer because he admires Ron Arad and sees himself as a kindred spirit.
I think me and Ron Arad have some sort of similar attitude towards making work, where I don't particularly believe in the gallery system, and I believe that you can put work into the public domain more. And I think in some ways using furniture or design and directly re-representing some things, it's inventive and it's creative, and it pushes it in another direction. It pushes it out into the public. I mean, I think I might have difficulties there, really. I think I might have difficulties with maybe the people, because of how I perceive myself. I'm from a working class family. I make art, and it's not easy for me in some ways to do what I do or to live the life that I live. And I think that there's probably a lot of people there that it could be quite easy to do what they do and get into that situation. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to avoid my own bigotry and not judge people that will be in the institution. But at the same time, I think that it's quite easy for them to judge me in relationship to my accent or something like that.
Down in the metropolis, Rector Christopher Frayling, never one to miss a marketing opportunity, is researching a book on the RCA. All the famous people who've been to the college in the past are one of its greatest resources, and he's off to interview some.
Go to the end here, go left and right, all right, and halfway along there on the right, they're there.
Which is number 9?
Go on that side there.
Thanks.
Perhaps the most famous old boy of all wasn't held back by his accent, and he's still very useful for publicity purposes.
David, hi there. Hello. I've got the cameraman with me. Is that okay? Thanks. That's great. I got lost. I've been here before. You once took me through some opera designs you were doing, the Ravel and all that sort of thing in here, but I'd completely forgotten where it was. You know, years ago.
I'm not here much, sir.
Have you? No. Where would you like to sit?
Let me get my hearing. Wait a minute, my hearing is.
Yeah. Okay, lovely. Do you want to go in the comfortable bit, or do you want to go in and work? What do you think?
David Hockney's not quite the ideal advocate of the value of the MA degree. For one thing, he almost failed to get his.
What happened was, I hadn't attended enough lectures. I mean, I simply hadn't sent quite a few students, and they said, "Oh, well, you failed the course." Well, nobody took that seriously. You see, I mean. Well, what do you mean fail the course? What do I care? I mean, you know, I've never been asked to show my diploma ever since I got it. Nobody's ever asked for it. I mean, if you're doing painting, the last thing you need is a diploma, really. I mean, you know, if you're a brain surgeon or a dentist, you put them on a wall. You know, people want to see it. But I mean, it didn't make any difference. I never took that seriously, and I don't think. Although, you see, if you wanted to teach, then you needed the diploma. I mean, and I remember when they said, well, you can't have a diploma. And I thought, well, don't worry. You know, it doesn't, you know, I thought, well, nobody's going to ask me. I knew that then. And in fact, I said, well, I could do my own. I could make, and I started engraving one, actually.
Your famous defaced diploma.
I was doing it on copper, on a zinc plate, and I thought, you know, I can do it with their coat of arms and all that, and I'll print some. And you can have all the students who said they couldn't have one. I thought, well, I'll print them, and you fill your name in, and that's it.
Yeah, I was reminded of Wordsworth's lines about the French Revolution when he said, bliss it was in that dawn to be alive, but to be young was very heaven.
Yeah.
It must have been a bit like that.
Absolutely, no, it was, yeah. Wordsworth, yeah.
Have a sense of what the reputation of the college is now? kind of compared with, that was such a high time for it.
Well, all I can judge is I do keep reading. Who is the designer, the vacuum cleaner?
James Dyson.
James, yeah. I mean, I keep reading about that, seeing it, so I think, oh, well, it's something going on.
That Hockney associates this product, rather than pop art, with the Royal College today must be music to the rector's ears.
The most famous graduates at the college are David Hockney, Henry Moore, you know, Bridget Riley, those sort of figures. And they're all fine artists. They all sign their work. They're a name, they're a celebrity. So in the public eye, we're largely fine art who are famous for producing fine artists. If I do one thing while I'm rector, I want to change the perception. 70% of what we do is design. We were founded as a design college. Now, I'm not in any way denigrating fine art, but we've got to somehow change the perception of the college.
So the legendary success of James Dyson's vacuum cleaner company is a must for Frayling's book on the college.
James, great to see you again.
Good to see you.
You're surrounded by Dysons.
Of course.
There they all are.
It's what we make. Being suddenly exposed to the Royal College in the 60s was a fairly shattering is the wrong word. It was the most inspirational thing, suddenly to go around and see all these forms of design. And for a sort of country boy from Norfolk who'd never heard of design, and remember it's the mid-60s, I mean, the word design was never mentioned.
You wanted to start at the manufacturing end, control all aspects of the process yourself, the design, the manufacturing, the marketing, distribution, which is a very unusual thing for a student to want to do.
I really couldn't bear the idea of someone else commissioning something or telling me what to do. That sounds slightly arrogant, but I mean, I really wanted to create my own brief and satisfy it myself.
James Dyson employs 1,300 people, and for designers, he looks to his old college for recruits.
The Von Trapp family, would you all like to come in?
Hi there.
Good afternoon.
Hi there. Good morning. How many of you are there? Hello, nice to see you.
You all know each other.
Yeah, we do.
Meet each other in Waitrose.
Occasionally meet you in Waitrose on Friday evening. Hello. Hi there. Nice to see you. Hi. How many of you are there? Hello. Hi there. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello. It's like a wedding. What happens at the end of the line? Yes, that's right. Hi there. Hello. Hi. Oh, hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hello. God, I remember. Yes. Goodness me. So, how many of you are there from the college? 1, 2, 3. Really? You're like that man in that ad, that sort of Ronson ad. You know, I bought the company. You decided to have your own college. You know, the Royal College wasn't to your liking, so you've invented your own.
But despite the rector's efforts to change the college's image, the course that Dyson recruits from, Industrial Design Engineering, has the lowest number of applicants per place. Far more undergraduates do fine art than design, so the painting course has 400 people competing for 20 places. The selection team has to get through almost 50 portfolios a day. To reduce the bulk needing storage, students are asked to send some work as slides.
That's someone else's.
Right, okay.
And the slides are in there.
Yeah.
He groups his slides into different sections, all from 1996 in this B section.
The college likes to involve students currently on the course in the selection process.
Right. I think our interest is marginal, isn't it? Afraid not, then, unless anyone's going to argue with that.
I would feel very hard pushed to say no so many times, and I don't really think this is a no-saying exercise. One doesn't want to say no as a value judgment. I'd rather say that I can't say yes to him. Which, well, it makes a difference to go on to the next portfolio.
I still have to write no on this bit of paper.
It's March, and all over the college, departments are finalising their selection for interview. Up and down the country, students are waiting to find out if they're in with a chance. In the fashion department at Winchester, both Sabina and Andrew hear that they've got interviews. They're getting last-minute advice from their tutor.
The most important thing, the actual proposal for it.
Which is what you still have to do, Sabby.
I've tried it, yeah. Tonight.
But I mean, I have spent quite a while on it.
Well, I think that's right. I think that's what you have to do.
I love that image. It's quite disturbing in the fact that it's got probably a dead body there. But I mean, I just like the atmosphere of the picture. I know it gives off sort of connotations of rape and murder, which aren't good, but
but you like anyway.
Yeah. The RCA have asked me to do 8 outfits, and I've tried to do as much as I can in the time given, which is only about two and a bit weeks. And I've 3 sketchbooks and another portfolio of work. I think it's quite a bit.
If they want me, they take me. If not, then not. But I would like
Yeah.
to go there.
Of course, no, of course.
At her studio in the East End of London, Kirsten Glass, who's already working as an artist, is packing up some pictures to take to her interview.
What's Cornelius got to do with this here?
Cornelius?
It's Cornelius, isn't it? At Planet of the Apes, isn't it? What's he got to do with it?
You're right.
It is, self-portrait.
She's hedging her bets and has applied to the fashionable Goldsmiths College as well as to the RCA.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right. Take care.
60 applicants have made it as far as an interview for the 20 places in the painting school.
Hello. Hello. Are you our first interview this morning?
Oh, sorry I'm late.
Oh, that's all right. That's good. Okay, just.
Shall I bring it into the room?
Yes, please. Take it straight in.
Hi.
Hello, you Kirsten?
I am. Hi. Can I just hammer this in a bit more? Is that okay?
Yes, please.
David Fryer, the installation artist, has got an interview for a place on the furniture course. Controversially, he hasn't brought any furniture.
This is a piece of public art. It was made in 1992, I believe. It was in a housing estate in Dalston that was about to be demolished and then rebuilt. So I made 24 street signs with positive single words on them with a walking figure, basically pointing to the conclusion of the development. And now they're coming back to me because the signs have been taken down. They're sent back to me as they come down, and I just brought it along as a representation of what I've been doing.
David Fryer's optimism sign has sparked a lively debate.
Would he get a place in an art school, in the fine art department with his portfolio?
He has good ideas, I think.
But they're not good ideas for furniture at the moment. They're good ideas.
But you can just lead it in a way that it becomes furniture, you know.
But
I
is he
think
expecting
has
us
a
to turn him into a
potential.
furniture designer?
He says he really, really wants to do furniture, but I don't know if he's not saying that so it's acceptable to us.
Well, maybe not. Maybe he's genuine. I don't know. He's not going to drag the course down. I mean, in a way, it's almost risk-free. Let's try him.
So on Ron's vote, David gets in, but they're still short on numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and some other that we don't know about yet.
I do like to have at least 2 women in a group.
Yeah, but that's a desire. I mean, I didn't even think once of it as a demographic problem. It didn't occur to me to count how many women, how many... But still.
I think it's important we have women on the course. They make a very different studio.
Come on, women. Apply and do good work and...
Yes, I agree. They
Yeah.
have to be good. I don't know. I think, well, it's good we have 2.
For administrative reasons, we have to take something like 12, 13. We didn't find 12, 13 today.
Although all the furniture students at Buckinghamshire College applied to Ron Arrod's course, not one was accepted. Most didn't even get an interview.
You know, I spent like 3 or 4 months compiling a portfolio, and then, the whole thing's dashed in 2 minutes of opening a letter. You think, oh, well, that's that option gone. Move on. What's the next option?
You're in a bit of a turmoil already, what to do with yourself, because you start questioning yourself, well, why wasn't it good enough? And it's very hard to come to terms with, in a way.
Ron's stand on quality creates a problem for the college authorities. If they don't fill the places, they don't get the government funding. He's asked to meet the pro-rector.
The only thing you need to make sure is we need to try and start the year with the full complement of students.
Right.
So it's a subtle wheeling and dealing job to make that work. But I think there's also a case for taking some gambles on people you think they're really interesting, but you don't quite know what they're going to do. And most courses have a couple of those in there.
Yeah, I mean, we have.
And they're often the most stimulating.
We have someone, an installation artist. So the best thing about his portfolio is that he didn't do any ugly furniture. So we offered him a place.
Yeah.
Over on the fashion course, there's no problem about numbers. They're spoilt for choice.
Do take a seat. I'm Wendy Dagworthy, the new course director here.
I heard you'd moved.
Well, not quite.
Not yet. September. I'm Sarah Dallas. I'm a senior tutor in the School of Fashion and Textiles, mainly concentrating on knitting.
Andrew's come up from Winchester with his friend Sabina.
I hope Andrew will be okay. He's in there now, so I'm worrying for him, but he will be fine. We were talking in the train all about it and practicing and sort of, encouraging each other.
That's what I've got.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
It went well.
I'm sure it did very well.
Well, so I haven't gone too red-faced. That's my only failing. But I know how to talk, and I think it went okay.
Was it all right?
Yeah.
Oh, great. You've got it now, done.
Well, we'll know in 2 weeks' time.
She carries an idea through, doesn't she, from beginning to end? She tries every variation.
Now Sabina's under scrutiny.
Oh, is it just in books? Ah.
It doesn't mean that I want to do now Alexander McQueen style with, sorry to say, lots of tits and bums on the catwalk. I don't like that. But I would like to find a way, a strong.
You're designing strong clothes for strong women, do you think?
It comes across as quite sort of strong and aggressive.
Yeah,
I mean that must be who you're designing for. I don't know if you're that woman that you're designing for.
I am actually.
If you're honest. And you're aggressive.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. Not that I hit people, but.
You never know, but I think it went okay. They were really nice. They asked just the right questions. But at least 2 of the questions I got, completely confused. But I remembered to stop and think before I spoke. I think it went okay.
How did it go?
It was all right. It was not too bad. Quite scary, but it was okay.
Well, you come out smiling anyway.
Yeah, I found it sort of really questioning, but I found it all right. I just talked through it as I am, and they asked me a really strange question. They asked me where I put myself, over you or under you, on the level. I found that really awful.
I knew they would do something like that.
And I said, I found everybody does the same sort of style, and I like what you're doing, and I've got more knowledge on the technical side, I said, but everybody has got his own sort of style.
So you kind of fuzzed the answer.
I found that awful, didn't know what to say.
I mean, you do know that you're going to change, one or two of their lives, well, all of their lives.
I mean, the possible ones, the ones you're not sure of, that's the hardest decision to make. The no's are easy, the yeses are easy, and it's just those middle ones, you think.
We probably won't know that until the end of Thursday.
Until we've,
Rector Christopher Frayling has had big choices to make too. The industrial design course has not been doing well and needs a new professor. He comes up with the idea of expanding Ron's empire and offering him the professorship of furniture and industrial design.
I would like to offer you, Ron, the professorship of both areas. As long as you're happy that you can cope with responsibility for 60 students with a good set of lieutenants, I think this could be a triumph.
If it works, it will be fantastic.
Oh, I agree. And I think the key to this is you as visionary, you as stimulus, you as sort of big cheese at the top, and a kind of engine room underneath you that keeps the machine going. Do you think you can cope? You're an active practitioner, you're very successful.
I don't think it, I think it won't take a lot more time than it does now.
I'm not sure, Ron.
Okay, we can speak in a year's time.
I think it may take a bit more time than, you know, than the furniture alone has, inevitably, simply because you've got responsibility for more students. I mean, and the thing is, they'll all want daddy, you know. They won't accept any substitute, Ron. They'll want daddy. They'll want access to you quite regularly, because that'll be part of the excitement.
The merger of the two courses means staff changes. The senior tutor in furniture is on her way out.
I was told 2 weeks ago that I wouldn't have my contract renewed for the next academic year.
How do you feel about that?
Extremely upset.
So we've decided to offer the appointment of Professor of Industrial Design to Ron Arad, who will be Professor of Furniture and Professor of Industrial Design. Now, what's the implication of this? Well, one of the implications is that, of course, the courses will have more bridges built between them. Anyway, I'm absolutely thrilled. Terence Conran, who was on the appointments board, is equally thrilled and really thinks we've made a decision about the future, as I say, which is good for both furniture and industrial design, and that's where we've got to.
The students are called to a meeting, but many have already heard the rumours.
Are you going to this meeting at 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
Turn up.
1:30.
Do you know anything about that?
Yeah.
What? Inside a rumour?
That industrial design and furniture are merging. All we heard was rumours that Ron might take over. But I just,
so he has literally taken over?
I think so, yeah. The whole college. It's now Ron's domain.
The whole college?
I think Ron Arad should be in the college a lot more often, especially now that he will have to look after a lot more people, because so far I feel that he hasn't looked after the very few people he had to look after. So if he's to be responsible for double the amount of people, looking after 2 courses, his time is definitely not going to be enough. He should be here at least 3 or 4 times a week more. If somebody comes in once a week, it's not practical, it's impossible to ensure that he's aware of where everybody's standing.
We're very mindful of what you're saying. I mean, it's incredibly important that that all works, yeah. You'll be thrilled, honest.
We need someone who's really generous with their time. And I mean, I suppose furniture students had a worry is this time business.
I mean, clearly he can't be full-time. You wouldn't want him to be. We want him to be a world-class practitioner, and he's got to keep that up in order to stay where he is. But yeah, I mean, that obviously is something that comes with this, and there's a lot of work to be done between now and October. The main thing, though, is we've got a prof now who's here.
Of course, the rector and all the other people in administrations are very good talkers, so it's very easy to be convinced by them, and we all were to an extent. But I think there was not much substance in that conversation. It was more the gloss and the shine.
Blissfully unaware of the ructions at the college are those students awaiting the results of their interviews.
Thick is good.
What is this?
Following your application for admission, I'm delighted to be able to offer you a place at the Royal College of Art.
So, what's all this stuff? This is fantastic. Congratulations, this is so cool. It's cool.
Yeah, oh, that's so good. Well, that changes my life for the next 2 years.
The letters from the fashion department have gone out as well.
Hold off, I'm nervous. It's not looking there.
Look at me shaking. Thick enough.
What?
Well, I've got a place.
Excellent. Well done. Congratulations.
I've got to return the acceptance form by 30th of April. I think I'll be doing it today.
Excellent.
Well, I don't know if I can afford it yet. I mean, I've applied to it. You've got to apply for things, and then I'll write off to sponsorship for companies, hopefully. And hopefully they'll sponsor me. Someone sponsor me.
Andrew has to hope that he'll be one of the lucky ones to get help with his fees and living expenses. Meanwhile, Sabina's had her letter.
Think of me.
I'm really nervous for you.
Yeah, I'm really nervous as well. Please. Okay. I'm very sorry to inform you that after much careful consideration by the women's were unable at this time to offer you a place. So they've rejected me, obviously. Your name has been placed on the reserve list, and should be a place become available, we will contact you. Okay, that's it. Obviously, I think they have got a certain idea of people they want in their college. And yeah, sometimes you fit in that idea and sometimes not. Maybe I didn't fit in that.
Sabine.
Hello.
Oh, there's only one thing. Have you got in?
Me as well.
You've got in?
No, I haven't got in. No. No, they've put me on a waiting list. But you've got in.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
Oh, I feel too bad.
Congratulations. Great.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but don't worry about it. You know, there's enough opportunities to. As I told you, I go to St. Martin's, try there, and.
I cannot believe that.
That's how it goes, Andrew.
I cannot believe that.
But be happy about that you're in, and that's fine. So make the best of it. Wish you good luck.
Kirsten's in a quandary. She's been offered a place at Goldsmiths College as well.
When I got accepted at both, I even considered trying to get away with going to both. Because the Goldsmiths one's part-time, so I thought I could probably manage doing my work here and then going to the Royal College like 4 days a week or something, which is so stupid. So it was a really hard decision, but it was really because the Goldsmiths one is for people that are working as artists already in their studios. So it felt more like me. So it just felt more me, you know.
At the start of the autumn term, all new students are offered a drink with the rector. It's the only time most of them will ever see London's best-kept secret, the senior common room.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, they've got Lucian Freud around the corner and Francis Bacon pictures. I think the paintings are worth more than the building here. I feel like a king walking around, being offered wine and everything.
Yeah. Tomorrow the what? Where can I stop? Hiya, Glenn.
Sabina Bräuninger got onto the fashion course at St. Martin's College of Art. Kirsten Glass did take the place at Goldsmiths. Ron Arad met his quota. He's now responsible for 70 students and has attracted a bevy of fashionable designers to help him run his new merged course. David Fryer, the installation artist, accepted his place, but not the rector's drink. He still has to get used to the style and glamour of the Government School of Design.
Next week inside the Royal College's fashion department at the later time of 9:50 on BBC Two.
I couldn't have liked it more.
The story making the headlines. BBC Two reveals the biggest counter-espionage case in recent history. In an exclusive television interview, KGB defector Vasily Mitrokhin talks about the secrets he brought with him when he came in from the cold. BBC Two exposes the spies.
I was taught how to be a better lover.
And the activities of the KGB. Astonishing revelations about our national security begin as BBC Two uncovers the players in the spying game. Sunday at 8.
Big bosoms and acres of flesh. No one dared do it before Van Dyke. It was pretty radical 400 years ago. Girlfriend didn't like it, though. Didn't like him painting all them women. You know how she stopped him? Threatened to bite his thumbs off.
Omnibus reviews the arts, reveals the person. The Royal College was at the core of British pop art in the 50s and 60s. BBC Two now sees the work of some of its most famous students.
Pop art is really taking the imagery and the graphic style of popular culture and turning it into art.
One of the best definitions still is the definition that was given by Richard Hamilton, a British artist. He said that pop art should be sexy, gimmicky, glamorous, big business, young, aimed at youth, expendable.
Pop art was a way of taking the debris of kind of pop society and trash culture and elevating it and saying, well, actually, it's as important as any of the things that were used as subject matter for making art in the 15th or 16th centuries.
Pop art was born in both America and Britain in the 1950s, but really took off as an art movement in the early 60s. Typically, a work of pop art includes images drawn from popular culture, advertising, comics, films and pop music. For most, there's a preoccupation with fame and glamour. The big names in pop art are the Americans, Andy Warhol, Roy Lichtenstein and Klaus Oldenburg, and the Brits, Richard Hamilton, Peter Blake and David Hockney.
With his mass-produced pictures of Marilyn Monroe and Campbell's soup cans, Andy Warhol created some of the defining images of pop art, as well as some of the century's most famous artworks. Like fellow pop artists Roy Lichtenstein, whose vast canvases were inspired by 60s comic books, and Klaus Oldenburg, creator of outsized soft sculptures, Warhol operated out of New York, which came to be regarded as the epicenter of the pop art movement. Yet many of the ideas central to 60s American pop art had already surfaced in the works of young British artists around a decade earlier.
I think the origin of pop art in Britain, if you can take any one moment as the origin, it's very rare to be able to do this, was one evening in 1952 at the Institute of Contemporary Arts, where the sculptor Edoardo Palozzi decided to present to an audience of artists a series of images that he'd collected from Time magazine covers, American advertisements, comic strips. And all these people in bow ties and bottle green corduroy jackets and sort of covered in paint were looking at these things and they didn't know what the hell to make of them. They'd never seen them presented in an art context before. Basically, Palozzi was saying, look, there's all this imagery coming from America. It's fascinating, it's very sophisticated, and graphically it's very, very interesting. We can't just wish it away and continue to paint slices of brie and apples and bottles of wine. It's there in the bloodstream. We've got to take account of it.
By 1956, a group of architects and artists who shared Palozzi's interest banded together and called themselves the Independent Group. They put on the country's first pop art show at the Whitechapel Gallery.
Anyone who thinks abstract artists are too abstract should drop in at the Whitechapel Art Gallery, where there's an exhibition devoted to collaboration between architects, painters and sculptors. They point out that yesterday's tomorrow is not today, so maybe today's tomorrow won't be quite what you expected.
This Is Tomorrow was perhaps the best-known exhibition that was organized under the auspices of the Independent Group. Richard Hamilton is the one who's best remembered as a contributor to that exhibition.
For the exhibition poster, Richard Hamilton created one of the first pieces of British pop art. It was the strangely titled, "Just What Is It That Makes Today's Home So Different, So Appealing?"
Everybody seemed to go to the same kind of sources. They went to the mass media, something that had already been converted from real life into processed pulp, processed television, processed cinema, or newspapers, or whatever. You tried to clean. It seemed to me that the advertisers were manipulating the public in a very skillful and interesting and amusing way.
Really clean. An American artist like Warhol dealt with advertising or commerce in a very blunt, straightforward way. On the other hand, an artist like Richard Hamilton in England, when he referred to advertising, did so in a much more detached, intellectual, ironic, questioning way. In a painting like She of the late 1950s, He's exploring the way that women were represented in advertisements as accoutrement for the objects that they were accompanying.
Follow us down, yeah? Our guest of honour has publicly, over the last 13 months, in her role as First Lady, the Queen of Style, has shown herself to be a tireless supporter of the work of British fashion designers. A very special welcome, Cherie Booth, QC.
There's 3 different types of champagne.
Has Danny got a hairbrush? Now, even before tonight, ladies and gentlemen, the Royal College of Art is delighted to present the class of 1998. Thank you very much.
He makes it sound so easy, as though an MA in fashion from the RCA is a meal ticket for life. Getting jobs for its students is something on which the RCA prides itself, but it's only easy once you've done it. Even if you get your fees paid, doing a 2-year course here can cost a fortune in living expenses and materials. It's a heavy investment in the future, and with 40 graduates all wanting the best jobs in the big-name houses, they can't all come out on top. From midwinter, they have 6 months to prepare for the moment on which so much depends, their final show.
So we're going to lose that.
So we'll take that right the way around. Just to get... Just, if you can see it, darling.
You know what?
I can see your nose.
Oh my God! I can see the scissors.
I can do all the facelifts, darling.
So long as you can see it coming, you're all right.
Yeah. It's for art.
Millinery is a tiny subsection of the huge women's wear department. The course has just 4 students, crammed into what's virtually a corridor.
No, but if you're going to have that long fur, I would finish the shape here, because that's going to
Andrew MacDonald is preparing for his final show with the help of tutor technician Shirley Hex.
But if you're going to have it in leather and that, then keep the length there, because that'd be a nice length. Be nice to go to Sainsbury's.
There's hope for me, yeah.
Carry on, Cleo. It's somewhere between terrifying and really exciting. So you go back and forth. 1 minute you just feel like you can't breathe and a bit panic attack, and then next minute you think, this is so brilliant, I can't wait.
This is going to be a plastic ball with fish inside.
Today they're working on the centrepiece of Andrew's collection.
It will be drilled all over with little holes and crystals, but it's just the idea of having your head completely concealed in a bubble that people find a bit frightening, but at the same time it's actually really nice. It's actually really sort of makes you feel really secure and kind of cozy almost. It doesn't look cozy, but it feels cozy. Cozy and plastic and crystals. That sort of thing. But it came from the idea of having a snowstorm. So I love snow globes when you shake them up. And I really wanted to have like a real snowstorm, but due to things like needing to breathe and stuff, it's a little bit impossible. But I just love the idea of it sort of snow whirling around your head.
Next door to the tiny millinery studio is the menswear department, which has 12 second-year students.
I mean, it shows up very clear.
Oh, so this one goes with that.
Menswear designer Helen Farnell is using Darren Kerwin's textiles and also using Darren as a model for her clothes.
It's a jacket I thought of doing in, you know, that fabric that you're going to do for me, this jacket, so if you could try that on. I don't know whether you approve of it.
This is just half a jacket, yeah?
Yeah, because I have a printed t-shirt on underneath.
Okay.
Right, turn around. Put your arm down. Relax.
That's breathe. You look very smart.
Oh, thank you. Right. Okay. Right, can you turn around, please? To the right. No, just stand still. Darren, it's the worst model ever.
But what about...
Does this tie seem too high? Do you think it should be lower?
But what about how it feels?
Well, I'm not bothered about how it feels.
Of course you are.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Oh, you must be.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
We don't want to know how it feels.
Just concerns with aesthetic?
Yes.
Okay. It
can be
feels fine here. The armhole is fine. Listen, the armhole is fine.
Look,
But here, I'm going to answer your question.
I'm a fashion designer. I'm taking over.
This is going to go on the outsides of the jacket, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. So you want to know how it feels, yeah?
No, I don't want to know how it feels.
You want to know if it's too tight?
No.
What did you just ask me?
I want to know if it's too high.
Oh, okay.
Does it feel too high?
No.
Give them back to you.
You can come back to that.
Thanks.
I'll come back.
Andrew is under scrutiny today. He has to show his mock-ups, known as shapes or toiles, to a lineup of tutors. 20 designs need narrowing down to 8 for the final show.
You've got so many ideas and so many designs, and they all seem to be whirling around. And so it's quite nice to kind of have to make it concrete, put it in front of someone, and so they say, well, you know, where's this bit? And you go, oh yeah, oh yeah, that bit. So it is, I think it is quite important just to get an overview of everything. And then you see whether things are working together or whether you've got sort of elements missing. How are we doing?
It's fine.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Is it?
It will move
Yeah.
when the joiners, but you want it to move?
It won't in the finished one.
Okay, so I'll keep my head as still as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
No, you have to lead me.
And if I get you to, I'll just straighten it out when you go. It's, instead of having the snowflakey effect, I'm going to form it in transparent Styral eggs and then drill it all over. And then in between the holes are going to be little diamantes. So it's going to be little holes and diamantes all over the whole thing, just to give that kind of twinkling snowstorm effect.
It'll be quite seamless. Have you looked into how you're going to join it?
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, there'll be a slight seam because if I'm having I'll have arranged the holes so that they're on the seam.
I mean, the seam could cause you problems.
Okay, so we'd need to look into.
Well, either making a feature of it,
Yeah.
or seeing if there isn't another way of doing it. If you've got an ugly, sort of opaque seam all the way around the edge.
Yeah, it wouldn't be nice at all.
Is that okay? Can they go and put the next
Yeah.
pieces on? Because we've seen the wings quite a lot of times before.
Andrew's work sometimes seems to have more in common with sculpture or even industrial design than traditional millinery, which makes dealing with him a bit of a headache for the tutors. Women's wear tutor Georgina Godley likes his ideas, but worries about how he'll turn them into reality.
I think they have got great kind of caricature quality, haven't they? They're very, very elegant. His drawings are gorgeous. Oh, it's like Wolverine, isn't it? X-Men. Lovely idea. But those, when you try and roll up paper...
Yes, it just doesn't have any kind of
doesn't do
form,
anything,
does it?
and it'll drag along the ground like some pantomime tail off a donkey, won't it?
It's kind of nothing to do with millinery, really, at all.
The menswear tutors have a full day ahead of them, inspecting the clothes and okaying the music that students have chosen for the show.
Wenn ich so denk bestimmt verkehrt. Wer ohne Mann lebt, wird bald belehrt. Für einen richtigen Mann.
I was supposed to get at 2 o'clock, and that's nearly 4:30. But that's quite early for a Royal College event. I'd say we're on time.
Arm sind wir doch ganz klein und gehen auf all eure Wünsche ein und keine andere Frau.
At last, it's Helen's turn.
This is my half jacket and one leg bigger than the other outfit. I think the one leg bigger than the other quite balances out the half jacket.
So how does this half jacket come off? Is it just...
Well, it's actually got a button underneath here concealed. All he needs to do is just undo this tie and then it just comes off.
Will he take it off on the catwalk?
Well, it's such a beautiful outfit already with the jacket on. I'm not sure it's...
No, exactly. That's why I'm asking the question, because I don't think it needs to come off.
Yeah. Also, another styling detail we're having like Rastafarian and dreadlock type wigs with bits of fur and bits of pieces.
What are you going to put on the feet?
Well, my feet, I'm having socks over shoes. Because
Socks over shoes, right?
yes. He's slightly odd, this customer that I've imagined. The way that he lived his life, it's kind of like he has mixtures of kind of sushi or coffee. Like his mixture of clothes is very much like his mixture of eating and different meals he has.
And he has money.
Well, let's hope so, yes. He'll have to have money.
If he's going to avoid.
We're not interested if he hasn't got money.
I know you're going to do what you're going to do, but John Wilford and I've got one thing we want you to think about. We think it's a very complete collection, and it's going to look brilliant. But both of us are not sure that the wigs are going to cause a distraction more than enhance your collection.
The number of people that have had wigs made for them, and they've actually looked really crap. And you're committed to the person making the wigs, and then you're in the situation you can't cut them. I would really check that out before you go all the way down the line. I think you should record it!
Craig Buglas, graduate of the University of Central Lancashire, struggled in his first year at the Royal College, but he's learning fast.
I wanted to make the inner shells as wearable as the outer shells. So if you imagine, if he wants to wear this on a summer's afternoon, just on its own, he can do.
If you were to put your hands in those pockets, are they not just a fraction low?
They need to sort of be up here.
Couple of inches.
Yeah.
4-3 cents.
And maybe slightly around to the side.
And you just realise how little you do know when you do come here. You think you're on top of the world when you leave your BA course, but you really don't know anything, to be honest. And it's very business orientated when you come here as well, which is good, because it sort of helps you to get together for when you actually leave. And you think of everything, not just the garments. You don't just design them, you actually take it the next step forward, which is good. And I think that's why we have such a good rapport with a lot of other companies like Gucci and them, because obviously they do like students who think the next step forward.
Where would you like to work, Andrew?
I'd like to work for Thierry Mugler, someone like that, someone that's quite, I suppose, suited to my style, which is quite glamorous and quite extreme. I like things that are taken to the extreme rather than sort of middle ground. Prefer to work backwards towards wearability and things like that, rather than start off there.
I mean, I would probably go so far to say as I'm one of the most commercial people on the course, but it's something that I want to do for myself. I don't want to be creative to the extent that you don't wear the garments. I really don't see the point in it, to be honest. You know, at the end of the day, I want to make money, and you know, if I want to make money, I've got to make garments that sell.
My dream idea is I'd like to do McQueen menswear, and we've got Gucci coming in 2 weeks to interview, so, you know, I'd love to work for Gucci. And then there's reality, which means I'll probably be trying to get any job possible, or I might apply for McDonald's. That's it. The third choice is McDonald's. So I just have to pay off the money that I owe, but I don't think that's a problem. I'm a very good waitress.
Right. 6 weeks to go till the show, and Helen has ignored her tutor's advice and gone ahead with the wigs.
Oh, sorry. Ouch. I'll never be able to do this again. This is my last chance to do something creative, because when I go out into the industry, I've got to make money, I've got to sell things. People have got to want to buy it. I'm not sure whether people are going to go for hippie-style kimonos, you know, or or druid jackets. But it's just my last chance of being creative, and I think that's what art school's about. I know I'll have to compromise. I don't have a choice, really.
Once they've got the clothes made up, there's a round of tutorials, exams and reviews. Hamish Morrow has worked as a pattern cutter for years. His own style is aggressive minimalist, and he hopes the college will give him a leg up to become a designer in his own right.
You say that this is an art college, it is, but we're designers, we're not artists. And I think that's very important to understand. And designers design product, and product has to sell. It's not art, it's not for galleries. And fashion isn't art. The closest it could ever come to art is being an applied art. And that would be in couture, but even couture's got to sell. Some fashion designers do think of themselves as artists, and they're very, very deluded because they're just working in the wrong industry. And if they want to be artists, then they must go and be them. And the problem is that the ones that do think that they're artists are actually really unhappy people, because fashion can never satisfy you in that way. You know, it's too transient. It's a product, it's got to sell, it changes every 6 months. It's not the same as art.
Therefore, for your case, yours too.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I reward you in alcohol.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Very hot and burning my hand.
Ow.
I have to say, I could get quite addicted to this.
You get addicted to what?
Back forming. It's just great. I love the way it's just so hot, sort of soft and shush, and then it's just bam, and it's just completely formed. I love it. Because we spend weeks making like shapes and millinery and sort of, you know, ironing, pressing, stitching. I mean, you have to make the mould first, but you know, once that's done, you just press them off. The next stage will be to figure out whether the hole for the head is going to be so big that when I put it on its collar, that it'll be kind of out here. Because if it's out here, then I don't want that. I want the thing to come underneath, really, or at least quite close into the head, so that it looks more like a bubble and not like a diving bell, which is fun, but not really what I'm after.
So who do you think might wear this one, Andy?
Someone that wants to make an extremely big impression. They say get a hat, get a head. Well, this one is more sort of obliterate the rest of the race, really.
The man from Gucci arrives from Italy, the object of desire for the fashion department. He looks through their portfolios to decide who he wants to see. For the milliners, there's little chance they'll get an interview, let alone a job.
When do the Gucci want to see you then?
Well, after they've seen everybody else, if they've got time, he said.
So are you being seen by them?
No.
Want to see menswear and a women's wear. And if you want to see them, they'll see millinery right at the end of the day.
After they've decided, right, okay, yeah.
See, it's just a shame, really, because no one realises how creative millinery is, you know, and how important it is to an outfit, really, that you can sort of do so well if you've got a hat on.
No, but they don't use hats, though, do they?
The thing about Gucci is if you work for them, you're sorted, really. But again, it's another company that if you work for them, would you get swallowed up by them? And would you get any recognition for actually designing for them? But I'd just love to work for them anyway, because I think their clothes are beautiful. And I think my sort of image that I'm going for is sort of along their lines. So fingers crossed I might come back and have one.
As soon as they're coming to see designers anyway.
You should be taking all the English designers, don't you?
Britain has a great millinery tradition, surely. That's why they're coming here.
The thing is, if England paid the wages, I would stay in England. I mean, obviously I love my country and I'm very patriotic. But at the end of the day, as a student, I'm going to owe out a hell of a lot of money when I leave here, in the region of about £27,000. And if England's not going to pay me that wage, I've got to go somewhere to get rid of that debt before I can ever do anything. But on the plus side, if I ever did set up a business, I'd certainly come back to England and do it. Because I just think the enthusiasm within England is just far much better than anywhere else. And as a nation, we actually believe in ourselves. You know, and I don't see the point in going anywhere else for that. But at the moment, I need to put pennies in the bank account, so unfortunately, England's not going to do that for us. So I'll have to go elsewhere.
From menswear, the man from Gucci chooses to see only two students, Hamish, who specialises in plain, elegant tailoring, but likes the fetish look too, and hippie chic Helen.
So they chose you?
Well, it's kind of like they're sending another guy to come and interview me, like second interview, and apparently they're moving offices to London, so they're looking for a new setup here, new designers. So I might not be working at McDonald's after all.
I'm one of the chosen two to see Gucci. It's very flattering. Just hope that we get to see them properly again, because other companies are at the same level of coming before and nothing's happened. But we just have to wait and see.
Gucci girl. Went all right. Very positive about having another interview. So, but apparently it's all about personality and whether they fit into the group. So,
but like we said though, the fact that having Gucci look at your photo, it's like something, a bit of a confidence boost, because we never really.
Yeah, it was a relief and deserves a drink. No. Not that we're the ideal Gucci girls.
We're not the ideal Gucci girls. I mean, you can tell, can't you?
You're more like the Clapham girls.
You might need an assistant, mightn't you?
Yeah.
I'm good at pinning up trousers,
Helen and her friend Louise escape the studio and go home to Clapham.
There is a lot of tension in menswear. There is a lot of bitterness.
A lot more competition than other.
A lot
than
more
women's wear.
than women's wear.
Yeah.
Because women's wear have sort of grouped themselves off. They tend to just ignore what everybody else is doing. But in menswear, I mean, you can't. I don't want to be crude, but you can't SHIT without anybody knowing. You can't move basically, because they're constantly looking over you.
Seeing what you're doing, who you're applying to, what their name is. They're looking over your shoulder all the time.
What you're putting in your package.
Printing out your letters, and if you leave them on the side, you go for a cup of tea, you never know who might be rooting through them to find out the names who you're, it's really everyone's out for themselves.
Now we've only got a week left towards the fashion show. Well, towards the textile show. The exhibition has to be up a week on Monday. So it's all of a sudden, all the deadlines that we've been trying to get, are coming nearer and nearer and nearer, and people are letting you down, and people can't do this and people can't do that, or, oh, I'll do it next week, or how about a week on Monday? I spoke to a guy before on the phone. I'm after some animal heads for the exhibition, and he says, oh yeah. I said, yeah, come along. Oh, but you can't come next week. How about a week on Monday? I was like, oh, me show's a week on Wednesday. It can't be a week on Monday.
Colin, where's your hole punch?
It's not a very nice atmosphere at the moment. I personally don't want to try my outfits on in the class in case people start picking at it and just laughing, making fun of things, because you just don't need it at this point of the course. I couldn't take it if something looked horrible in front of the class and everyone. Me having a horrible collection. So I'm trying to find a private room and a model to try it on first, and I can do some final adjustments.
Lovely if you can. Okay, I mean the brushes. We're going to go. If we can go over the face first.
Okay. You put your
I don't want
hands
those
in
two things sticking in her ears. I don't want to have her pierced ears,
All that's going to go into your face.
All right.
No, that's fine.
Is that all
I'm
right?
just catching on the hair.
You're on the.
Okay, I'm in the collar.
Yeah.
We have lift off.
Can you feel the pressure there? No. She doesn't feel any pain. She's wonderful, really.
So I always design with comfort in mind, Shirley. You know that. Oh look, it's misting up. It's beautiful.
I know. By the time you got the diamonds, you won't get the mist over windscreen wipers.
Half of the women's wear have actually got jobs with Calvin Klein, Alberto Ferretti. 3 people went out to see John Galliano the other night. I was staying with Alex, who had his interview until 2 o'clock in the morning to get this dress finished. And they actually had it with the guy himself. For half the women's wear to get jobs, it's fabulous. But no one's got a job in menswear yet.
For Andrew, things are even worse. The budget for millinery tutors has run out, so no more help from Shirley.
To some extent I don't mind, but it is good to have someone there, because I mean often problems come out towards the end, and the more stressed and tired you are, the less likely you are to deal with it well, and that's when you need your tutor there to say don't lose it, just sort it out and get on with it.
48 hours before the show, and Andrew has recruited his flatmate to help fix on the hundreds of crystals for that snowstorm effect.
It's so fiddly.
Let's see.
If you get 40 an hour done, in 20 hours you can get 2 4s or 8 200 done in 20 hours. If there are 3 people
Just
doing it...
don't say it. I don't want to think about it.
You see, later on you'll be able to pay people who are good at this.
Just let them all up. But just wait till they're all up. What's happened to the others? They got lost under there. Give them a shout. Guys, when you come out, keep a gap of 8 between yourselves so that you keep your distance. Don't crowd out. You can all follow him. Yeah, probably will be rating.
Porchester Hall, Bayswater, hired for 4 days of fashion shows, culminating in the grand gala dinner with tickets at £350 a pair. It's rehearsal day, and James Park, head of fashion and textiles, sees the show through for the first time.
So will the woman's voice be travelling over that? We're incredibly lucky. Can you imagine? Here we are standing in the most wonderful capital in the world. Showing off.
The four at the lollipops, the 4 with the lollipops, whoever those are. It's, less of the full Monty. Is it you that does the full Monty type stuff? Right, less of that, okay? Less of that and more straight modelling, okay? All right.
Is he wearing a wig?
Over that hair.
But they're not just here to show off.
Nothing ever does happen with menswear until the trade show goes through. So probably by this afternoon we should know exactly what's going on, and hopefully we should have a few sort of interviews and things. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. You know, if it happens, it happens. You know, I certainly don't really want to go chasing people. I mean, I've sent CVs and packages off to certain people, but if you're at the Royal, you really feel as if someone's going to come in for you. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, it sounds really pretentious, but unfortunately, that is what has happened all in the previous years.
I feel like I've done nothing but Crystal. It just takes so long. Now the halves are together.
We got Andrew and his hats. Close in the front of them.
Women's wear tutor Georgina Godley hasn't seen Andrew's work since its very early stages.
I'm so disappointed, so disappointed. I think his work was working so well in 12 form. I think there's been a poor choice of fabric. I think that for example, there was that magical mask that was like a sort of Walkman, and I was very inspired when he was talking about it to us all. But he's gone for cheap fabrics. It's lost a lot, I'd say, in the last, I don't know how long ago it was we saw him. And sadly, I haven't seen him since then myself. I think he's immensely talented, but I'd say there's a fine example of someone who's not been able to make the leap because he hasn't got the money. It's that classic battle for a lot of these students who aspire to the top end of the market, but they're working in bedsits and washing things in a bucket. I think also we had a problem within the department where we have a rather more traditional millinery teaching approach. And because he wasn't really being given the support I think he required, he did it on his own, and I think it shows. So, I mean, I'm sad about that one, actually. I think we've let him down. But he's good, very, very talented.
Back at the college, the textiles show is nearly ready too.
All the students tend to hang things too high. You know, it's invisible up there. You make impact. By trying to crowd it with so many things, you're going to dilute it. That blue would be lovely down here where one can see it. You could think of masculine and feminine, there's your...
Or light and shade, pale and dark.
Darren Stagg is wearing Helen's half jacket.
Are you going to do anything to the heads apart you're not dressing them a little bit?
I'm more concerned with getting dressed myself and getting ready for the private view.
They could almost do with it. You haven't got a scrap of fabric or something that could just to give them a little bit of. They look a little bit
dead.
At Porchester Hall, the doors open to the press.
People like you don't wait in queues, darling.
Okay, Tim, on, down to your right. Kestrel, Kestrel, come on, down to your left. Oh, you understand about posting at the back wall to the next guys there, down to your left. Go, go, go. Hold the back wall to the next guy arrives, go. And you come off, take your coats off. That's it, down to your left.
How are we going to do this?
No shoe.
Okay. Some people.
Michelle.
Can someone?
I'll try.
Can you try and
I've
just
never put shoulder pads on
underneath?
anyone in my life.
I've got to see this. Wow.
Oh!
It's brilliant. Oh God, she looks fabulous. You look so wonderful. I nearly cried.
You follow the bubble down, you follow the bubble down, you follow the bubble.
If you're not doing what is strictly within your field, then you've got a little bit of a battle and you've got to go for it. It's up to you to make it work. And that's why I'm so pleased with the show, because I feel that it is working. And it's been really difficult, but it's worked. And that's what I'm so happy about.
Wonderful, wonderful show. I'm sure. Everybody's crying.
Gucci wants to see me straight after the show. Yeah, Gucci wants to see me straight after the show.
Oh, see? See, I told you, I told you, I told you, I told you.
Well, it's a second chance. So
fabulous.
Okay.
Fabulous.
There we go again. Yeah.
Waiting for an interview with Gucci. Well, hopefully. And that's it, basically. That's it, we're just waiting for Gucci.
Two different men come from Gucci to look for talent.
They want to see all the menswear portfolios, but they're not sure which one they're particularly she's not sure which one they're particularly interested in. Oh, God. Here we are, back at square one again. Thought it was special? No.
From menswear, they pick out Helen and Hamish again, to slip behind the curtain to see them, along with Craig this time.
You thought you'd gained ground, but you hadn't. You lost it again. So it was great that they selected us again. So it's very flattering anyway, even if you don't get the job. I mean, you know, it's really disappointing if you don't, but it's still very flattering. Yeah, I mean, everybody wants it to be them, don't they? And you want it to be you. And if it's you and it's not them, well, it's just the way it is.
Helen's had the interview, but she's not there yet.
What's going on? Well, I've got to wait for them because I want to come backstage and have a look closely at the garments. It just pisses me off. Someone says one thing and somebody says another. It's like, don't know whether I'm coming or going.
I don't think I've got it. I'm not the sort of person for Gucci. And also Helen and Hamish have gone to show them their outfits, so I think that more or less says who they've got. Do you know what I mean?
Are you interested in them?
It depends. If the money's right, yeah. But honestly, I'm going where the money is. That's what I'm in fashion for. I'm not in it to go and create a name. I just want to make money. When I've left this place, I'll owe about £27,000 out. And I can't take a £9 grand job. If I took that, I'd be paying off until I'm your age.
I can't hang around waiting for Gucci to call, so I'm sending off loads of work packages, hopefully to generate some interest and maybe get some interviews.
Bit of an anticlimax after last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, last week was quite good fun. Now reality hits, we need a job.
Any Gucci interviewed, which is a bit disappointing.
The show, it was so slick, And it's frustrating when we don't get the attention, the media attention, apart from you guys. It's quite scary now.
Kind of skydiving, and I don't know where we're going to land.
No.
I'm expecting the English better. 290? Shiz. Is that with a Puma deal? That's with a Puma deal? Is there any chance I could get a company car for those days? It's 290 Deutschmarks. Shine on. I never thought for 1 minute I'd end up in Germany. I really, really wanted to stay in London to try and keep some of the English talent within England. But unfortunately, you know, there was no one, in my opinion, who was going to offer us an offer that I've been off, like the offer I've been offered in Puma. So basically, I came primarily where the money was and also where the challenge was. And the standard of living's a lot higher over here as well, which is really nice. Because for my money, what I was paying on a flat in London, I get virtually 3 times the size in Nuremberg. But then I suppose there's lots of sacrifices because there aren't any decent nightclubs in Nuremberg. But there you go, such is life.
Andrew's got some workshop space, a little teaching to help pay the rent, and a few private commissions.
It's scary. You kind of come out and you don't know what's going to happen. The bank's in touch straight away. So it's more a case of sort of, instead of presenting to your tutors, you're more kind of presenting to the bank. It's kind of ironic because my own work does tend to be quite out there, and I like to push ideas right to as far as they can go. But the reality is that I've spent a lot of time making what are essentially wedding hats.
Neither Helen nor Hamish heard from Gucci again. After a showdown with her bank manager, who suggested she give up fashion altogether, Helen took a job at a lower level than she'd aspired to. She's now working up menswear ideas for a Japanese designer.
It's a job, and jobs are difficult to come by. It's just so depressing signing on, having to explain yourself to the Dole office what I'm doing. Oh, I'm a fashion designer. And they were like, yeah. I'm doing quite well here, and I seem to have a bit of control sometimes. Yeah, I would have liked something different. I can't say that. I get told off. Yeah.
And the next visit to the Royal College will be in 2 weeks' time.
Life when you get a stroke.
Try and step forward again with that leg. That's better.
You've got to fight it, like everything else.
A time of change.
Winning Miss Israel is just the beginning. The pressure remains for Rana to marry quickly in the traditional Arab manner.
Demanding forgiveness.
It's as if it happened yesterday, really. I can't ever forget that.
Fighting for acceptance.
In the eyes of the law, I'm still a man. We consider ourselves to be normal, whatever that means.
Struggles with life in a modern world. Every Man returns Sunday at 10:20 on BBC One.
Putting the pain into painting now on BBC Two, the Royal College of Art.
Lord Snowdon, Provost of the Royal College of Art, is on one of his regular visits.
This one is pretty amazing, isn't it? It's exactly like my office. It's quite difficult to understand this, isn't it?
Well, yes.
He's meeting the Professor of Painting, Paul Huxley, who's been in the post for 12 years.
On your way, Steve, wherever you're going, you want to get into the lift.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Huxley came to fame as an abstract painter and Snowdon as a photographer and royal consort in the early 60s.
Can you remember when we first met and how long ago it was?
You came in a black Mini, which was terribly dark green, all right, terribly fashionable in those days. It was the early 60s, about 1964 or something, 63.
Those were the days when the buzz round figures like David Hockney and Peter Blake really put the RCA painting school on the map. a tough act to follow for second-year students like George Shaw.
Now, without intruding, can I come and see what you're doing?
You can. I'm afraid there's not much room. We just move everything. Everything's movable.
Paintings on the floor too. George works on a small scale at the moment. I think when you arrived, you were making canvases that you sort of wrapped around yourself, didn't you? So you've
I used to live
style.
with them a little bit. Yeah. It's because I never had a studio. I used to paint in my bedroom. So.
What do you use those for?
They're photographs I've taken from the places I used to play in as a child.
And you use them?
I use them for the paintings, really, because it's. I don't like painting outside. It's too cold.
See, for me, as a sort of layperson, I find it wonderful when the person who's painted something or the person who's created something or whatever actually talks about it. What I mind dreadfully is nowadays, down in the galleries, showing anything, whether it's painting, sculpture, printmaking, whatever, there's this sort of anti-caption, isn't there?
Maybe that's part of the art as well. I don't really know.
That problem in these studios too sometimes.
Yeah.
I hate the word art. I never know what it is.
It's something artists do.
Yes.
Dentists make teeth, fix teeth. Artists make art. Plumbers plumb your house.
Anyway, a huge long painters paint and plumbers plumb. And sculptors sculpt.
That's the easiest way to make yourself look a bit of a twat, I think, if you define art.
Although the Royal College is primarily a college of design, the success of its painting school is vital to its reputation. And yet its loyalty to traditional techniques of paint on canvas has been seen by some as fuddy-duddy. Conceptual art and graduates of Goldsmiths College have been hogging the headlines. RCA Rector Christopher Frayling is standing his ground.
I had a hilarious argument with a member of staff at Goldsmiths a few years ago about what the word painting meant, and it was like a Tom Stoppard play, I was sitting there saying, I think it means the application of pigment to canvas, isn't that the bottom line? No, you can use neon lights, you can use broken glass, painting is assembling things in any, in my view, that isn't painting. So we hang on to the idea of painting, and students who want to be painters come to the Royal College, and students who want that other world go to Goldsmiths. Now, in the 80s, and to some extent in the 90s, that Goldsmiths world has been very fashionable, both with the galleries and the critics, and we have looked a little out of date.
Goldsmiths is more of a buzzword amongst journalists, and they will tend to mention Goldsmiths as a sort of brand image for a young artist. And of course, they've every reason to deserve being that famous, but I think ultimately it's not particularly good for an artist to be branded as a Goldsmiths artist. I mean, they want to be themselves, and that's what I'm aiming at, to see that the emerging artists are seen for their own qualities, not because they are products from a certain kind of system.
George Shaw, a former primary school teacher from Coventry, has a very personal approach to painting. He uses tiny pots of enamel, more commonly used to paint plastic models, to make his images.
The paint I use is the paint I used to use as a child. That's why it takes so long, because it's like painting with treacle. It's horrible. Like flies and things die in it and all sorts while I'm painting.
Do you like painting?
I don't like paint very much. It just makes too much of a mess. But it's just, out of all the things I've done, it seems to be the quickest thing I can think of to make an image, really.
Laborious as the process is, George believes painting can recapture his childhood as no other medium can.
I can only take a photograph of the house as it is now. I've got no possibility of going back in time. And I can remember when I first started taking photographs and didn't stop drawing. My dad was really proud of the fact that I could life draw and do all, sort of make a elbow look like an elbow or a foot look like a foot. And when I started taking photographs, I think he thought it was a bit of a cop-out. And he said, "You'll never be able to take a photograph of what's in your head." And I thought, oh, and that was probably 15 years ago. And that sort of stayed, really, that sort of little statement.
It's kind of like one of the basic acts of painting is making a surface go from one colour to the other, like a white piece of canvas go from white to pink. And that's one of the ways I started painting. It's just to make something happen like that and then see what happens from there. I mean, it's kind of awkward
painting with these brushes on these sticks. But I think that's something I'm interested in as well.
Jasper Joffe is still in the first year of the 2-year MA and has time to experiment with brushes.
I like the contrast of using like a tiny brush, really overloaded with paint, to try and make the same, not the same thing, but to try and make a mark. And 1 minute you're using a huge brush, and the next minute you're using this ridiculous, inappropriate amount of paint on a brush. So this is a really ugly type of painting. It's like some old-fashioned type of painter would use a lot of paint to paint with, to make a face. It's very difficult to be a painter today, because most painters have, I mean, like my sister's a painter and she's quite successful, but she doesn't earn much money even though she's successful. And she's more successful than most of us here can hope to be. So most of us will be, you know, have no money and not be able to paint. And you know, I make ambitious paintings in terms of size and material. And it's going to be hard when I leave here to make paintings like this. Because, you know, they cost a lot of money. You know, I spent £100 on paint, you know, £300 on paint this term, £400, whatever. Canvas costs like £50 to make. It's easier to make a little saleable painting, but I don't see the point in it.
While most of the students on the painting course spend their time actually painting, some do experiment with new media. Second-year student John Strutton uses computer-generated imagery. His tutor is Nigel Rolfe.
Part of it is probably that it's kind of voodoo to the painting department. You know, it's like some strange kind of voodoo.
That was the choice in coming here, really. It's quite traditional, and you know that. And that was what I was interested in doing, being in the painting school, but possibly seeing what would happen in the spaces in between. You know, when I came for my interview, I didn't bring any paintings. And, you know, it was Paint to Lille, that was the dialogue that I was engaged in. It was about image making.
I love it when you talk about it like that, because it actually keeps the question of painting very alive for me. Quite fetishised, aren't they? You get some sense of choking of the mouth, and you know it's a mouth.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that third eye too. It's like a kind of mythical face where the entry, you know it's a mouth, but it becomes a mask, and therefore it becomes an eye.
Yeah.
There's a digital promise there, but I know it's arrived at from an analogue time.
It's time now for the summer show, and second-year students are hanging their paintings in the Henry Moore Gallery. They're following in the wake of artists like Bridget Riley, Hockney, Kossoff, Auerbach and Peter Blake. Blake has fond memories of his days here in the 50s.
We always try to avoid being near Frank Auerbach or Kossoff because they use charcoal. And what they would do, they'd set up their easel, and then they'd put 4 thicknesses of paper, knowing that they were the serious artists. That their passion would be so intense that they'd probably go through about 3 sheets, and they knew that, and they drew very vigorously with charcoal. And there was a cloud of black dust around them the whole time, so there was always a little gap next to them where you didn't want to go and sit.
The college's most famous old boy is David Hockney, whose student works now hang in the senior common room. He was particularly famous for failing the humanities course. The professor of painting at the time was Carol Waite.
They did have official crits when you'd done your major tasks. They put them up in what they called the mural room, and Carol Waite would talk about every painting. He'd go through each one. But they also had what they called sketch club students. The students organised and put their own work in it that wasn't the major tasks, And I do remember Richard Hamilton. He'd been asked to come to look at the painting school, and I remember they gave prizes, I don't know, £10 or something. I remember he gave me a prize, Ron Kitaya prize, might have been Peter Phillip. I mean, and what he said was, I remember, a very stimulating event. I mean, it is a afternoon I can remember there, really, because he was from, in a sense, outside. You know, another viewpoint, and he immediately saw, and students recognised he saw, what was slowly evolving. This was something lively and fresh.
Nearly 40 years on from the success of pop art, and the class of 1998 wonder if it will be their turn next. Powerful patron and collector Charles Saatchi gets his usual sneak preview of the show.
And if you've got people like Charles Saatchi, you're looking for a new trend. And I mean, his very new trend is called emotional realism or psychotic realism or something like that. But he's been collecting some of these young artists, and of course he'll sometimes buy the whole lot. So I think it's a little easier in the last couple of years than it probably was 5 to 10 years ago. I think there's more chance that they'll do well.
In the basement of the show, John Strutton has set up his video installation, but at the last minute has decided to supplement it with a set of drawings.
I was getting very bogged down with the computer. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I thought I was losing something. I thought the content of the work was being veiled and it wasn't immediate enough. So this is really just about the sort of things that I look at, something that might have a specific meaning at that moment that I see it. So often I'll do a very quick sketch in my sketchbook or just note it down and then do a drawing when I'm back in the studio. And it's not really about style. So the red blobby mark is about the idea of what catches my eye. If I've seen it and it seems to be important in terms of the things I'm constantly obsessed with and constantly looking at and constantly reading about, then it gets drawn.
The public has always flocked to these prestigious shows to see what this year's students have come up with.
It's free entertainment, isn't it, for some people? They come from their boring job and they come in here. And they get to talk to someone they think is interesting. And they're probably no more interesting than the person standing outside selling a burger.
To me, he's trying to imitate the look of the schoolroom, where you've got all the kids' drawings on the walls, that kind of effect. But you don't really see it the same. When you've got a picture with an amount of white space around it, you see that picture, you take it in. When you see it like this, it's just a tangle of mixed up images.
And I think it's a fantastic installation. I can see it at Saatchi's.
George Shaw has 5 of his enamel paintings in the show.
I like these pictures here. I like the mystery. I like the different light that they have in them. I like this shivered path, the dark mystery of trees.
You know, you sit there doing the work all day long, and then at the end of the day, you've got to take your work to almost like a car boot sale. And someone asks you how much it's worth. And it's worth whatever somebody wants to pay for it, really.
A big part of Paul Huxley's job is to sell the students' work to visiting patrons. His most important guest today is a sponsor who buys large amounts of the students' work, Serenella Ciclatera.
This one down here.
With a sleeping figure.
Yes, and this one.
And that one, marvellous.
This one. Right. And that one. And that one, yes.
It's just a social event for the sponsors, isn't it? It's just like going to Ascot. Fundamentally, they just see art as decoration, and, you know, the Royal College of Art is a good brand name. It's like Gucci or something, you know.
But it's more than that.
I should hope so. If it's not more than that, they should close it down. You know, I mean, it's meant to be like one of the best art schools in Britain, you know, and it's meant to be a place that encourages innovation and new painting and real questioning of what we do, not a thing that turns out decoration for rich people.
We have put this picture in the middle. I like a sense of colour.
What kind of collection do you have? Is it
quite a big one?
Oh, look, it's all got red dots on it, look. I mean, it's all sold. I can't remember what I priced them at, actually. What did I price them at? 900 quid. That's all right, isn't it? Yeah. can be funny selling work, because you sort of know you don't know who's bought it or anything. I have to go and ask somebody. So, and then you don't know what they're going to do with it. But at the end of the day, it enables you to carry on working and not have to sit in Woolworths or work at McDonald's or something.
Can we buy the yellow and red?
The green and red painting.
The green and
the one in the middle.
Yes.
It's a very good response you made to the work of the students, and you've bought such a lot. So that's going to make a huge difference to them.
Mrs. Ciclotera also gives an annual prize, the Parallel Prize. This year's winner is Gillian Carnegie with Lurker, a picture of a dead body in a lake.
Well, you've all met Mr. and Mrs. Ciclotera, and they've looked at the show very thoroughly, and you're the shortlisted students that they wanted to talk to, and they've come to a decision. They have an award to give, and they've got a number of purchases to make.
We come here every year, and we think this is a very strong show, and we've enjoyed talking to you all, and I guess it's been a very hard decision. In fact, we talked about it for 15 minutes and everybody had a different view, so it's like choosing a pope. Anyway, we finally come up with something we're very happy with, and so if I kind of start, we're going to award a runners-up prize at the same time, so I think if I start with the runners-up prize, which is for £500, and the runners-up prize is yourself. So well done. John Stratton. Come on, you go forward and talk about the winner. So.
Well, there's not much to say. We decided to give the Parallel Prize to Gillian, and I am sorry for the others.
And the others are having substantial purchases made from their show.
The Cicloteras like John's video so much they want to commission another.
I loved your work downstairs, the one that's in the studio downstairs. What we'd like to do is give you a commission, or to offer you a commission to create something similar. We've got some spaces in our office, and I think that they would go very well. Okay. So we're only around the corner, so perhaps you come and see us, and we can get you on your way. I'm not a technical guy, but you have to work out the technical.
I'll come down and see the space, and then I'll. If I can't see an immediate solution, then I'll go to someone who's.
Can I tell you something? I've got faith you'll find a solution.
I'm sure we'll
okay.
try.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
It was a wonderful piece of work, and it was impressive. I think that's a good outcome.
I think it's the most interesting thing I've seen here for a long time, in fact.
13,000 people visited the fine art show. Huge numbers for an art school, but 3,000 down on the year before. Press coverage was minimal and not over-impressed. But both John and George have sold work and collected their degrees.
Oh, I've got the same as you.
What authority of the Senate? It's like something from Blake Seven, isn't it?
It does just say painting on there. It doesn't say painting and decorating, but that's all I've got lined up at the minute.
Albert Hall Friday.
Yeah, there's not a
Deptford Dole Office Monday.
Okay.
Now their professor has a show of his own in a gallery just off London's Cork Street. It's the most influential street in the UK for setting art prices.
No, I really like that.
Yeah. There's me.
Lovely. That's all looking wonderful.
I think so. I'm delighted with it.
After 30 years in the business, Paul Huxley is used to the commercial art world and the flack that goes with it, especially from the Evening Standard critic, Brian Sewell, not his greatest fan.
If the purpose of a head of a painting school is to teach people how to paint, then you could have found few men whose handling of paint is more insensitive. If his purpose is to arouse the imagination, show people what can be done with paint on canvas, then few people could be less suitable. That man was painting the same pictures at the end of his professional life as he was at the beginning. He was a man totally without development. Dullest painter in the world. Not quite the worst, but certainly the dullest.
But Paul Huxley's paintings sell for around 15,000 apiece, and he's decided to give up being professor and paint full-time.
Yeah. It's been 12 years now. It's been 12 very exciting years, but gradually the amount of administrative work has escalated, and it really is beginning to eat into my studio time more than I would wish.
This leaves a problem for Rector Christopher Frayling. He needs a professor of painting, and quick.
I heard of Paul Huxley's departure with some jubilation. He must have had a lot of applications for that job, because it's rather a plum.
The college wants a big name to run this department, but they can't always get what they want. It's a job Peter Blake has been offered twice.
It's a terrific job, and if I had two of me, one of them would have loved to have done it, but I didn't feel there was time to do it. And then when Paul became professor, again, Jocelyn Stevens had asked me to do it, and when I said no, they then came back to me and said, well, you can have another professor, you can have a studio, and you can have another professor who does all the work, and you just be there. And I knew it wouldn't work like that, because I would have got very involved, as Paul did. So in a way, I maybe shouldn't talk about it, because I chose not to do it.
I've not been involved in art education, really. I've not done much teaching at all, really, ever. I mean, I did a little bit in the 60s in America, but only for like 6 weeks at a time, that's all.
If I'd been a professor, I would have had to have done it full time. And of course, I preferred to be a painter.
That's a problem facing the rector and pro-rector at the college.
We've said we want an international figure whose work is well known. And what we've got, I think, is mainly people who be very good on the admin side.
What those children need are plodding painters who are able to teach them, who are able to demonstrate, who are able to draw. They may have got one now, I don't know. The new head of the school may be a revolutionary.
I've already had 2 telephone calls since the advertisement appeared saying, do you mean painting with a small p? What the hell does all this mean? I mean, So I want a professor of painting who's aware of these other developments, who touches them at the edges, who would welcome that kind of work, but who would centre the department on the concept of painting, on a discipline of painting.
I think we can get 3 or 4 for interview out of these 16. But I wouldn't mind putting some smoke signals around to make it up to 5 or 6, to make it a full day. And I don't know if you agree that number 7...
Yes.
Yeah. Who's ex-student.
Yeah, ex-tutor.
We know, what he's made of.
Yeah.
Well, who else is there?
Number 8. Do you want to?
Number 8. Yes. Well, that's a very radical wild man of the system, who does all sorts of things.
We can get some press coverage out of that one.
Well, no, I don't think it's applied paint to canvas for many, many years. I mean, it doesn't have a centre of gravity to it. There is, however, number 15.
Yes.
Woman, lecturer, was at the college, well exhibited, tiny bit long-winded in the manifesto, a bit mealy-mouthed. I wasn't quite sure what she was on about. But do you think we should shortlist? I think we should.
I think so. And the references are interesting. The referees are interesting people.
Well, extraordinary one, very senior sort of figure from the establishment. And then we've got the head of painting at one of the undergraduate colleges, number 9. Solid, safe pair of hands.
Yeah. Again, a lot of experience.
Not the most inspiring moment in the world, but,
In the end, the professorship goes to a man who's been running one of the undergraduate courses from which the Royal College takes students, the Fine Art course at City and Guilds. Graham Crowley does his own work at the bottom of his garden in South London.
Basically, I've always wanted to do the job. I was a student there. I taught there in the 80s. I went there 26 years ago. And it's always been a part of my life. It's been a part of my work. It's been a vital part of my learning and my teaching. I even met my wife there. I honestly don't think that you can actually be head of the painting school, be a professor of painting at the Royal College and not be a painter. Definitely not, no. It's actually doing it that gives me the authority. Whoops.
What are you going to do when you get there?
My best.
So Graham Crowley's brief from Christopher Frayling is to centre the department round the discipline of painting. But first, he's got to find the students.
Have you seen Janine recently?
She was in the lecture, but I haven't seen her since.
Oh, very distracted. Ah, and Tom's disappeared as well. Well, what do you know? This curtain culture leaves a bit to be desired. That's brilliant, isn't it?
With yet another show coming up, the students are noticing that their new professor's style is more hands-on. He drops in on Simeon Banner.
The pictures for the interim show, there's 1, 2, there's 4.
I think it's
Or
going
is
to
it
be
gonna be
5.
5?
I'm
Yeah?
just working on one now. Maybe that'll go in, the one on the easel.
Oh, right.
I don't know yet. Early days still. Still more work to do.
Yeah, I'd wait.
But I got till Thursday, so I think is it till Thursday?
It's this Thursday.
Yeah, this Thursday.
Simeon, yeah. Okay. Is that a line from a song, The Stars Played Music? It sounds suspiciously like one has lifted it, sampled it,
Hey, look, I would put it in
appropriated
quote.
Yes,
Okay.
I would. Yeah, that'd be quite good. Is it though, consciously?
No. I think it was more a feeling that you just get on with it, but the help was there if you needed it with Paul. So I think this is it's quite a change.
Well, Paul Huxley was very laid back, which was nice, because you just felt like the college was a really relaxed place to be. And Graham's very, wants to know everything and what's happening, incredibly energetic and comes to see you every day. So it's a kind of change, but I think it's positive to have this shake-up in the college.
Do you think you learnt more from your fellow students or from the staff?
Well, probably from your I think that's probably what it would be like now, in a way. Of course you learn a lot from fellow students. Simply watching somebody make marks on a canvas, doing all kinds of things. You thought it was a very alive place, I did. And in a way, the staff didn't hinder that. That was their major point, really. They did, in the end, encourage it.
Sounds a very minimal contribution that you described.
But
They kept out of the way.
in the end, they picked the students.
Call me old-fashioned, but I think painting is something you can teach. There's an element of technique, of physical craftsmanship, as well as conceptual aesthetic ideas. So you can form a judgment of that.
You either have teachers who you fight against or ones that fight with you, and either can work. They're both. It's so long as there's something stimulating in a way. Argument is stimulating. Yeah. It's just so long as there's an argument, not authority saying this must be this.
Yeah.
It actually, they encouraged the argument. Yes, it did, really, looking at it. That was why it was lively.
Professor Graham Crowley will see every second-year student in his first term. He has an appointment with Jasper Joffe.
Hi, James. Yes, please. Yes. Right. Have you done some more work on the piece with the candle? You have, haven't you? There's something running down the centre of the candle. Looks suspiciously like wet paint.
Yeah.
Is it new?
It's not. They're nearly finished now, these paintings, I think.
That wasn't there last week, was it? This thing here. This area here. Has that been
That's been
repainted?
there. That's been there for ages.
Was it?
I've been working on the other two, which are behind these, but they're hard to see. I've done 2 more.
Yes.
I think these are finished. I'm just looking at them now.
Finished in the sense that you don't know what more to do to them, really.
That I don't want to do any more to them.
Yeah.
What do you think of them?
What do I think of them? They are so in your face. They're so out there, as it were, that you're just asking for a sort of smack on the nose, really. They do make me laugh, particularly in moments when you're trying to be self-serious, analysing sort of the dignity of painting and stuff, and you know full well that you can knock that out in 2 seconds, sort of thing. Yeah.
They're empty in a way because in a way they're completely empty.
Well, no, that's that's a tautology, isn't it?
Yeah,
of course they're empty because they're empty. That's a rather empty statement.
You get the person who's happy on the outside, and this cliche, but you have that cliche of the sad person inside and the gregarious social person.
That's right, the sad clown.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that is a cliche, isn't it?
It's an idea. So what is it that you don't like about these paintings from a painting perspective? I mean,
Oh,
as well.
Well, just from a simple human perspective, I think they're overbearing. I think they're, what should I say, small beer written large, if that isn't a mixed metaphor. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I think there's an overweening pride. I'll tell you, one of the other things that, really, that does bother me about these is that I don't think that at the end of the day you're very concerned whether one is much better than the other. What kind of criteria are you using to distinguish the better parts of these pictures from the not so good parts?
Well, that's the whole problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, hold on. That's not an answer, is it?
I know,
Because,
but
yeah,
it's
it
very
is. That's why I'm
difficult
turning it around, because it is a difficult one.
I think it's impossible to pin down criteria for why actual areas of painting are better than others, except for saying,